All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Theorycrafting Thursday. This, of course, is everybody's favorite Justice for Harambe podcast. Today, we are here to mourn, despite the fact that it has been 6 weeks or whatever. So, of course, I'm with Proud, Chief Executive Officer of Justice for Harambe Incorporated. Hello, Proud.
Hello. You got it out already.
Perfect. And I am just a kind bystander in this tragedy, whatever, memes. Okay, let's move on.
That was like super funny.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We are going to be talking about Dota 2 today instead, and that's about it. We're going to talk about Dota 2. I'm excited. How has Dota 2 been for you, Proud? This is in the last week, let's say.
Yeah, well, I mean, as is predictable, I'm sure all of our listeners know already, we won another Battle Cup. It's just difficult to not win when you're this talented. So it's been good. I took captaining of the team back because I've been feeling good about my dotes. Been feeling good in general. It's good. It's good life. It's good life. I've been playing Slark recently again, and like I think my Slark is actually really good. I was like pretty down on it for a while because like every game I would go for like one dive at like 50 minutes in their jungle and just die and then not a buyback and then we lose off of it. But I'm a nice, calm, disciplined little boy now, and my Slark, man, he's a reliable little fish. I love it.
Yeah, it's rare you find a Slark that is disciplined. That is not generally a term I would use to describe most Slarks that I play with, but yours has impressed me. We've played in a few team games recently, which has been nice.
Dude, the fucking pathing thing where you like you hold Alt and you can and you like ignore pathfinding. That's been so fucking helpful. Like I've talked about it before, but I've actually kind of mastered doing it pretty well now. So like I'm like, I don't know, people are like over a cliff and I just get the perfect pounce every fucking time. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, actually. I didn't do that. I didn't even know that was an option. And then I assume it was you that told me or whoever I learned it from.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, I'm quite confident it was you, but you know,
Me too. I'm confident.
And because I used to play a ton of Slark, I don't play them that much recently. You know, haha, Dota hipster, whatever. And it makes Slark a lot easier. Hopefully, Roland listens to this and knows because that would help his Slark play. And yeah, we are doing well as a team. I've been pretty happy with that. Battle Cup wise, your drafts this week were stellar. I mean, we also last week you drafted for us. We definitely like, as anybody that listens to this show, you probably listen to Tuesday's show. Flub is also our drafter. He has stepped away and Proud has stepped forward, but the same thing happened before where Proud stepped away and he stepped forward. So it's nice having a team that effectively has two captains. And we, you know, our drafting style is very like communal. So it's not like dominated, but it has been a good time.
Yo, let me just say, that second game, my fucking late game shot calling, I'm so fucking good. I'm so fucking good, man. That was the best fucking shot calling in my fucking life.
Yeah, the shot calling makes a big difference. That's one thing, especially, and I will, as always, plug, we stream all of our Battle Cups so far, but also team practices on .ptv, twitch.tv/.ptv. And if you're an amateur team, or if you're just a person that likes hearing good comms, or if you're trying to learn how to communicate better, our comms are generally pretty good when it comes to shot calling and all that. And you get to hear my background comms, which are mostly me complaining and flaming my team in the most productive manner. But it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference when it comes to playing as a team. And that's kind of, you know, the Tuesday show does all our team building stuff, so we won't step on any toes. You can go anywhere with that. So, you know, team building is a whole nother topic. Let's leave it at that and move on. Our team drafts have been fine. I'm happy with them. Specifically, I'm happy because this week's Battle Cup, I got to play 3 different supports, not Winter Wyvern every game like last week, and we still won. So apparently we can win with things other than me playing Winter Wyvern, which is pretty darn convenient. I played Oracle, Winter Wyvern, and Disruptor this week. That was fun. Oracle's a hero I have not touched in a while. I used to play a lot of him when he first came out, and he's really, really strong. I think you'd agree, Proud, right?
Yeah, every time we want to play him, you're like, I don't know if I want to play Oracle. And then like after we pick him, you're like, wow, this hero's dumb. Let's pick him all the time. And we don't pick him again for like a month. And I'm like, what about Oracle? You're like, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah. Well, Oracle's one of those weird heroes where he's so like there's so many little decisions to make that I kind of second guess myself in the drafting phase. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think this year I'd be okay or like even good. And then I'm like, but I might mess up and like I might not do well because if you mess up on like a vengeful spirit or a Rubik or somebody or a lion, it's like, all right, whatever. Like he has very simple actions. Whereas Oracle, it's like, oh, I messed up, so I killed my teammate, or oh, I messed up, so
Yeah.
now Juggernaut's disarmed and he can't hit anybody, which means we
Yeah, it's
lost
like
team
trying
fight.
to Omni Slash but can't auto attack. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the Oracle that you play.
Yeah, but that being said, like it went really well. And Oracle's a great counter pick to heroes like Darkseer. Definitely, it's a nice hero if your supports know how to play it. It's definitely not a hero to just pick your support. If you're like an amateur captain and you're like, man, they picked Darkseer, I'd love to have an Oracle, and your support's like, I've never played that hero. It's not, it is not an advisable hero to pick. But yeah, I was really happy with that. We should maybe pick that up a little bit more. And the hero's just really good.
Any hero like that you can pair with Sand King, man, like every cool support that I want to put you on, it's like, I don't know, this hero is not that great, but if you have a fucking Sand King, like he supplies the stun and the huge amount of AoE team fight damage that Oracle doesn't have.
Yeah, boy. And you can like first two Sand King and then in a pinch offlane him. I don't know if we talked about this last week about our recent love of Sand King. And it's not even just because you are now the drafter. Like it's not like a sudden change. Like when Flub was drafting, we still like had a sudden epiphany. Like, boy, Sand King is a really good hero. And we like that hero is crazy strong. And like it's strong and it's also a really strong counter pick and block pick. So like you get the best of both worlds. It's kind of like, I mean, even Oracle is a good example of another hero like that, where the hero is strong even when it's not a counter pick, but when it is a counter pick, it's even better. So Sand King's been great for us recently. What else team wise? Let's see. That's about it.
Pretty same old. We played an Elder Titan game.
Oh yeah,
that was good. Elder Titan, good hero.
Yep, and I've been playing Shadow Demon. I guess we'll transition to just my week in Dota. I've been playing a lot of Shadow Demon. That's been a good time. That hero, I'm sure I talked about it last week. The hero has so much potential and is so strong with so many different cores. Like it's really good with Terrorblade. We played it with Tiny, and we did lose that game, but still, like it was an hour-long game. It was a very like strong lineup.
Yeah,
Clearly,
I was
Shadow
like
Demon.
13-2 though. Like I did fantastic, and your Shadow Demon was 8-8 too. We just just blame Grudy and Flub and bangers.
Yeah, it was that game was a whole nother thing. We got kind of had some issues with the Morphling. That being said, I loved Shadow Demon against Morphling was awesome. Basically, Shadow Demon against any stat heavy carry is like just like
except Slark. I don't think he's very good against Slark.
Really, I love playing against Slark.
He's okay against Slark, but just like the Slark illusions don't do a lot, right? Because
they're
stat heavy after they eat up everyone. And then at that point, the fight's fucking lost.
Yeah, it's mostly just because, like, if he pounces on somebody, you egg them, and his pounce is irrelevant. That's like the primary.
That's good.
Yeah.
Validating his burst combo, totally agree with. But outside of that, I'm just talking about specifically for, like, get someone with strong illusions. Yeah. Like, Slark doesn't actually have good illusions. But everything else, Shadow Demon's pretty strong about.
Yeah, you gotta, like, tactically feed the Slark, like, 40 stacks of Essence Shift.
Yeah, like, get like Wraith King and have Slark kill the Wraith King very slowly and then disrupt him. That's the strat.
Exactly. I wonder how tanky a Wraith King. Like, I wonder if there's a maximum amount of items that a Wraith King could have where he would outlive his ability to have enough mana to cast ult if he was killed just by auto attacks from a Slark. If that makes sense. Like, imagine if he had like 3 hearts, a satanic, BOTs, and a blink dagger. Like the Slark would probably hit him so many times doing that it would reduce his int so far that he could not ult, even if he had like a wand and a KotL and like no mana burn for mana boots. Yeah, exactly. Boy, that actually would not be a cool video, but that would be a cool thought experiment.
Nah, yeah, it really wouldn't.
Yeah, that would be like agonizing. Anyway, my week in Dota, I played a couple solo queue games yesterday. That was a good time. We were streaming, and I actually played cores, all 3 games that I played yesterday, except for that last one, which was Shadow Demon.
Wow.
And I know, it's a rare sentence. I play cores so infrequently in, like, ranked And it was 2 solo queue games where I played Ember Spirit and Invoker. Like that stuff never happens. And I was very happy because I won both of those games.
Oh wow.
Of course I won both of those games. Come on. My Ember Spirit's actually pretty good. It's
probably better than mine.
I was actually thinking that it'd be so cool to run like an Ember Spirit support with I know it would be terrible, but it would be fun. With all of his burst magic damage.
What burst?
Not okay. Sorry,
he has Radiance Burn. That is not burst.
His sustained magic damage and like chains. I mean, it's terrible. I fully admit that, but I think it'd be entertaining.
Yeah, it is terrible.
And as far as like cores that could be run as support, I feel like anybody that does a ton of magic damage and has CC in the early game could, like, in a pinch, be put in a support role. Man, I'm gonna get flame on Twitter for this one.
Yeah, really don't. I mean, you want to play mid disruptor and fucking support Ember Spirit,
dude. Like, mid disruptor's so good. I don't need to hear this from you. God. All right. On that note, I mean, that's been my week in Dota, basically. I haven't played that much.
Is Flub just, like, imitating you now? Like,
Flub wishes.
What are these weird picks?
Our mid player also swears by the disruptor mid. Proud is the only one that's like,
no, he also swears by Pudge mid, so you're really not getting a lot of important support here.
That's fair. That's fair. But disruptor mid is legit. I'm swear.
I'm sure it's super good when you're playing at high skill bracket, but you're with the big boys.
I will play it at some point, and I've played in very high skill games actually, and I've done just fine. For a while, it was my anti-alchemist pick.
Yeah, and I know you pick it sometimes in solo, and you're like actual MMRs, but still, it's fucking. Yeah. Anyway,
it's good if you're a good disruptor player. I'll leave it at that. It can definitely crash and burn, but I play a lot of disruptors, so you kind of gotta.
Maybe if we have a Timber Saw sometime, we'll let you do it.
Yeah.
When we don't have Vafa.
Yeah, you pick 2. Well, Vafa plays it also.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. But he plays good heroes. Like Vafa's like a good mid. Like when we have you mid, we have to do whatever we can to try to get some level of like decency going.
Okay,
I'm sorry, that was too easy. Yeah, I know. You don't play a lot of mid. It's okay, baby. It's okay. I know.
But to be fair, I also have like a very similar hero pool to Vafa, our mid player. Like I play Invoker is both our number 1 hero. Although nowadays his number 1 hero is more Windrunner. His Windrunner is better than his Invoker.
His Windrunner is fucking insane.
It's really good. We'll look forward to a future episode where we bring him on the show and he plays Windrunner because it is something to look, something to see.
That's
something to behold. Yes, I will definitely hold Windrunner. That is a personal goal of mine. Or just somebody wearing the Windrunner cape, honestly.
I'm going to have that, man. That's going to be me.
Perfect. A new Twitter profile picture right there. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we should just hop into our segment then. Anything else in your week in Dota that you want to discuss?
I don't know, dude. Can you just move on?
Perfect. All right. So, we are going to also play Quap, and I hate that hero. That's my last thing about my week in Dota. That hero. Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about Drow drafts today, and this also TI started. Yay! That started on Tuesday of the week this is recorded.
Fucking
it's been
awesome!
Fun. It's only the group stages. Yeah, it's only the. Sorry, go.
Love it. No.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, it started today. It's been a good time. Today's literally the first day of it, so we only watched like how many games do you watch? I watched I think every game today because I was at work, and that's what I do at work. But it's been great already. It's been great already. So yay, TI hype week, whatever.
Yeah, TI is cool.
Yeah, so Drow Ranger has been a hero that's really risen in the metagame in the last, like, what would you say, like 2 months?
Sure. Yeah. Recently, this patch, perhaps.
Definitely this patch, but even like early in this patch, she wasn't nearly as popular as she is now. Like right now, she is like a first phase pick ban in most games.
Yeah, since basically the Chinese qualifiers for the international is when she came to prominence. Everyone was like, "Oh, maybe we just pick Drow all the time," and
yeah, and that's always interested me too, because Drow hero that. Very frequently, I'd be like, oh boy, we can't pick Drow because they have, X, Y, and Z hero. Like, oh, we can't pick Drow because they have an Earth Spirit, they have a Slark, they have a Jug, they have some other hero that's going to get on top of Drow and kill her. With
any movement ability whatsoever.
Yeah, but now people just don't care, and they just like have found ways around it, and it's fascinating, honestly, from like a strategy and theory crafting standpoint that something can change so diametrically in such a relatively short period of time.
Well,
so.
I think the real thing that has to do with it is just like how much better Dragonlance has got. Because I feel like the Dragonlance change on her is just everything.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot more to say about that. That was just.
But do you think it's just the Dragonlance or the Hurricane Pike? Do you think it's both?
Hurricane Pike is also a huge part of it because I remember the first Drow game that we played as a team. I would just went Hurricane Pike first item because we were against a Clockwork, and so he would just get me, and then I would Hurricane Pike my shit out of there, and it was great. Yeah. But yeah, just you can go so much later with Drow now that it's so much easier to siege buildings and that sort of thing. Like before, without Hurricane Pike or Dragonlance or whatever, your high ground you had to be way ahead, and then you had to walk up high ground with a fucking squishy ass Drow, and then you would just have to pray you didn't get your fucking shit wrecked. But now you can like sit on low ground and you can attack their tower and not be threatened at all and have someone behind to save you if you get gone on. So I feel like the Dragonlance is a huge part of it, if not the whole fucking thing.
I would agree. And also like a number of other heroes that are also popular in the metagame, like Shadow Demon and Elder Titan, are very strong with Drow. So not only is the hero stronger, her items are stronger, and the heroes that accent her ability to play the game are also stronger. So it's kind of like a perfect storm of pickability, I guess. Sure. So we've only seen one Drow game today in this first day of TI, and that game was an Escape Gaming game, which is Cinderin's team. And they played Elder Titan, Invoker, Drow, Dazzle, and something else. Void. Faceless Void. That's what it was. And that's just an example of a Drow draft, and that's from a pro team. It's quite good Drow draft. But the basic idea is that the hero is incredibly strong, and we can take these pro players that are playing such a hero, and we can kind of extrapolate that and bring it into both amateur team play, which for the record, our game tonight as we record today, if you kind of listen to this in the daytime, is going to be a game with our full 5-stack. And that's kind of a very important thing to have with a Drow draft. It's not like the hero is bad if you pick it just like in solo queue or in like a 2-stack or a 3-stack, but it is notably better if you pick it in a 5-stack where the rest of your team is both accents the Drow and is accented by the Drow.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to get into today, because this hero, I think, definitely for myself, for my own interest, when the hero first started being popular, I needed it like explained to me, both visually and theoretically, because I was like, I thought this was lunacy when it was like Feeler first phasing Drow, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Then I watched like 3 games of it, and I was like, boy, this is crazy strong. We should do this all the time. So
yeah, but I mean, so you can pick a Drow, right? But that doesn't necessarily make it a Drow lineup. Like Drow, I think still even with Dragonlance and all this shit, Drow is a bad hero. Drow lineups that are well made, I guess. I don't know, well created, have
well crafted.
Yeah, well crafted. There we go. Thank you so much.
Anytime, bud.
Yeah, like a well crafted artisan, straight from the nice shop down the lane, family shop,
straight from EU servers.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing to behold. Standard Drow, if you just have like a Drow with a bunch of random ass heroes, she'll get fucking Spirit Breaker charged and Clockwork hooked, and Storm will zip in and there'll be a Sunstrike, and then she'll get dueled. And she'll just fucking she's fucking sucks. But if you have like she's so strong at this one particular thing that if you have the perfectly crafted team that covers all of her weaknesses, it becomes incredible. And you think about like the more classic Drow lineups, it's like, whoa, Drow, she has a thing and it makes all the ranged heroes hit harder. Get 5 ranged heroes, that'll work. Like, that's not actually how you play a Drow lineup anymore. Normally, you only really have about 3 ranged heroes, and that's your mid, your 5, and your Drow. And then you have some sort of melee offlaner that does some zoning, and then some kind of 4 that does a shit ton of team fight damage, and then the 5 that can bail out the Drow. And the mid laner that can do a lot with the extra damage in mid lane and supply some team fight damage and control, and generally just go fucking buck stupid.
Absolutely. I think really this comes down to, in Dota, when you talk about like blank drafts, any hero that has like the name of like, oh, this is a Brood draft or this is a Huskar draft, like, that hero is not necessarily good, but they're really good in specific situations. And Drow is, like you said, the perfect example of that. And Drow drafts should definitely be feared more so than the Drow Ranger. Drow definitely for a long time was pigeonholed into the Drow Visage draft. That's not something we're seeing recently, but
No.
for a long time, like that's one of my like when I think of classic Dota 2 combos, Drow Visage is up there with like Huskar Dazzle or like Dazzle Axe, stuff like that. So that's not something we see as much because Visage is far less popular than she used to be.
We'll go with a solid they, I think.
Yeah, they is good.
That sounded
They
good.
is good. But even our team who has a Visage player, we still don't run that. Like Visage is not as popular in Drow drafts anymore. But like Proud said, you have to have a very well-rounded draft for Drow, and so that's kind of what we're going to be getting into today for our segment, and also what we'll be playing as our team goes. So I guess let's just go down the from the 2 role to the 5 role, the popular heroes to run in Drow drafts. So Proud, you already brought it up, but basically when you're running a Drow draft, you want to have 3 ranged heroes, give or take, with the Drow draft. So 1 obviously being the Drow, then usually a ranged mid, which is not hard to come by. Basically, you don't want to be running like a Kunkka mid.
Right.
And or like I mean, even Dragon Knight is like more or less a ranged mid. So
I don't think so. I don't think I would ever run Dragon Knight with the Drow lineup because you want
really,
the idea with the Drow lineup is like how good a hero is Drow really outside of just her ability to give you some plus damage in the early game, right? And part of the reason that that's so valuable is because it wins you your lanes kind of by default. Kind of like how Lich isn't that great a hero, but the fact that Lich will win you your fucking lanes without any question, that's similar to why you get a Drowse. So the idea is that you'll win mid lane without really needing to try that hard. And if you have a Dragon Knight, you're not only is that hero itself almost incapable of winning a lane, he won't even take advantage of the Drow at all until he's 6.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. I did not think of that. All right. So the list of mids, though, just to go down, I believe you actually have the list here.
Yeah. So also I have the list, so why wouldn't I fucking say it?
Well, I was gonna give some additional details, but that's
okay,
fine.
Then do that. Whatever.
All right. But basically, we're going to see a commonality between all these mids is that we're picking like you said, a range mid that's going to benefit from the aura and really dominate lane. And these are heroes that don't generally dominate their lane otherwise. Like they may do well, and they're going to not like lose their lane without it, but it creates an advantage that they may not otherwise have had. So Proud.
Am I allowed to talk now?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, so first on the list, so there's kind of a somewhat of a hierarchy. There are some heroes that benefit more from Drow than others, and then there are some heroes that are just fucking better than the heroes that benefit more, so they edge out. So I would say the best mid to play in a Drow lineup is probably Invoker. He has summons that can be affected when Drow presses E, and her aura goes to not just heroes globally but also creeps. And also he suffers from fairly low damage, and having the extra Drow damage there compensates for that. And then you have an Invoker who isn't down ridiculously on damage, and that enables Invoker to be able to go a Quas Wex build, which will have a shit ton of zoning, a shit ton of control, and then he'll also have actual damage with the Drow aura helping him out. So Invoker's strong. You can go both QE or QW. Really flexible, really kind of amps up. Invoker already flexible hero, but this actually enables him to take kind of full advantage of his entire toolkit and kind of guarantees that he wins mid. So that's really good. Next is Windrunner. Obviously, Windrunner, really good attack animation. Throw some extra damage on her early. Fucking insane. Throw some extra damage on Windrunner because she normally takes a while to get a real damage item. Not if you go Deso like our mid normally does, which is, by the way, the fucking way to play her.
It's so good.
It's so fucking good. But anyway, you throw Windrunner some extra plus damage on an early focus fire. That shit's crazy. You think Windrunner gets phase boots and it transforms her kill potential? Get her phase boots plus like Drow with the plus 40 from her ulti or whatever the fuck, and then throw that into the aura, and like, man, Windrunner will fucking shred you.
Yeah. And it compensates for the fact that pre-Aghanims, Windrunner is losing damage when she ults somebody, but it all equals out when you have the Drow aura on top of that. So that actually makes a big difference too, because it enables those level 6 kills that much more.
And one other thing that I would say feeds into that, there are a lot of mids right now, or just heroes in general, between Timbersaw and Timbersaw in general, and then Juggernaut in the mid lane. Tidehunter exists. Heroes with that flat damage block. Vanguard is a very strong item now that I find myself going a lot when I play Juggernaut. So getting that flat damage bonus on Windrunner, so she already has her damage reduced, so it wouldn't be illogical to see her doing 60 damage post reduction, and then someone has a stout shield, so she's only really doing 40 damage a shot, but you throw the extra damage from Drow on, and it's drastically reducing how much these flat damage reducers like Stout Shield and Vanguard are fucking over Windrunner. So getting her some damage early, really, really fucking good. Then there's also Puck, who's already pretty much a lane dominator. And then if you add some damage to Puck, they are actually just going to be able to kill whoever the fuck they want at any point in the game. You think about Phase Boot Puck. Phase Boot Puck is fucking ridiculous. It's just that you don't really have the stats without treads. But you can go treads and still have the damage of Phase Boot Puck with the Puck and a Drow lineup. You have insane control. Puck actually has some right-click scaling, so BKB doesn't totally fuck up Puck. It's really cool. It adds scaling to a hero that normally their downfall is that they don't have any scaling. But man, you have a Puck with a fucking Drow aura, and then maybe they get an Orchid at some point, and they're actually a Puck that can right-click you down.
Yep, and like we were saying earlier, Puck gives so much control for the Drow through both ult and the fact that he can they can silence people. And I mean, Drow's primary weakness is people jumping on her, but B, just getting CC'd. And if a Drow has to build an early BKB and delay more damage items, then your power peak is going to be significantly hindered. So the Puck is one of our favorite mids in this top tier to run with the Drow, just because it accents so many of the weaknesses of the Drow, for sure.
Yeah. The only thing I would say with that is that it kind of limits the offlaners you have to pick a little bit. You want some scaling in your offlane still, but you normally want to pair Puck with someone like a Lone Druid or a Timbersaw or some kind of offlaner that can scale more. And maybe the Drow doesn't totally compensate for the Puck's kind of lack of scaling. But it is probably the more limiting hero to pick than Windrunner or Invoker, but it's still definitely one of my favorites to pair with this.
Yeah, totally. So the next one,
so the last one is DP. Obviously, Death Prophet. She pushes very strong. Give her some extra damage. She'll win the lane. She doesn't really take advantage of the damage that much, but a Drow lineup. Traditionally, you want to end early. Right now, I think with Drow lineups, you can stand to go way later with Dragonlance being so absurd. Hurricane Pike being a scaling Dragonlance. But DP, really strong mid. She definitely will demand to be addressed. One more hero to take some pressure off of Drow. If your Drow gets everything blown on them, and then you don't have any burst left to kill the DP. DP doesn't really mind that Drow aura is gone. So it's kind of like two heroes that they need to address very badly when you have both Drow and Death Prophet, and both of them are going to be able to take down a base in seconds. So it doesn't work incredibly well with the Drow aura itself, but just kind of works with the team lineup just as a concept.
Right. I definitely agree with it. It's kind of, you already brought it up, but I love when a draft has two different heroes that require attention. And I mean, I imagine we all have this situation where we lose games and you think this is the exact thing that happened, where, you need to commit a ton of stuff to kill the Drow Ranger, but you also need to commit a ton of stuff to kill the DP. And if you can only kill one of them, then the other one is going to be ravaging your back lines or your front lines or your mid lines or wherever. So I love that kind of stuff. Same with Puck.
When Doom is popular, and then the answer is let's say you pick Storm, they pick Doom. The answer isn't oh shit, let's get people who deal with Doom. The answer is okay, so we have Storm Spirit, and they have Doom. Well, let's also pick Omni Knight and Slark. That way, if they Doom either of them, Omni Knight will fucking heal the shit out of them. If they Doom Omni Knight, their only answer to Storm Spirit was this Doom that they were banking on. So yeah, if they only have tools to deal with one of your incredibly important cores, then just pick two of them, and they won't be able to deal with both.
Absolutely. So that's the top tier mids, right? Those four.
I would say so. There's probably one that I'm forgetting, so Father, forgive me.
Yeah, well, whatever. Other mids, I'd say, I'm just looking at the list here, and there are other mids that are perfectly viable with the Drow draft, but don't provide nearly what the other four provide.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the key
is okay. TA kind of.
TA. I think the common factor, other than the ones we already listed for each of those four individual heroes, But one of the common things between those four is that each of them is providing some degree of crowd control or other, way to protect the drow. Whereas a hero like Razor or TA, like, yeah, you could fit him into a drow draft if for some reason, like maybe let's say your mid player is just an incredibly good TA or an incredibly good Shadow Fiend or Razor or whatever. You can pick it totally, but it does not provide nearly what those top four do. And I think one of the biggest reasons, and we can kind of get into this before we move into the 3, 4, and 5 positions, is nowadays drafts are so open because so many heroes are so viable that when somebody first phases a drow, they have so many mids to pick from and so many supports and so many offlanes to pick from that you can't just ban against it. Like I imagine in other patches, and I wish I had like gone back and like found an exact example. But in other patches, if you had first phased a drow and somebody realized like, all right, they're playing a drow lineup, and like only of those top four, only 2 are viable. The second phase, they just ban both, and then you're screwed. Whereas nowadays, so many heroes are so viable that it opens up a lot more options.
Yeah. The fact that when you look at a drow lineup, there are 4 mid heroes that I think are all perfectly fine to pick first phase. That just kind of speaks volume about how many options you really do have right now in this patch.
Yeah, absolutely, and that applies also to other drafts, other drafting styles. Like if you're trying to draft around a single hero, that is more like committal stylistically. You can now since 100 plus of 110 heroes are viable, like you can absolutely theorycraft around like drafts that are more committal to a single style, like Huskar drafts or whatever. So that's kind of a side note, but that's something to think about if you have a player on your team, or if you personally are a player that can do stuff like that. You can think around it nowadays. So many things are so viable that I'm all about it. Anyway, let's continue and let's go to offlaners.
Okay, so for offlaners, it's a little more self-explanatory. Void is good if you have a ranged hero draft. They can, for the most part, throw damage into the chrono.
Yeah. Don't gust people out of chrono.
Yeah, don't gust people out of chrono. You can gust people into it. That's awesome, honestly. And yeah, Void, like you're worrying about your offlaner benefiting from Drought Aura doesn't matter too much, unless it's like a Puck or something that you're running in the offlane, which is actually not the worst thing in the world if they're running a dual lane or something like that. But understanding laning conventions, your offlaner is going to be more concerned with whether or not they can Iron Talon jungle rather than worrying about whether or not an extra 5 damage is going to help them 1v3, because it's not. You're off the Drought Aura. There's really very few offlaners, if any, whom Drought Aura will drastically change the landscape. And then once you hit late game, you're more concerned with someone able to zone for the fight than for your whether or not your Void is going to have an extra 30 damage. Yeah. So you want someone like Void, a lot of zoning, tanky, Tide Hunter. He's also fucking huge. He can jungle. He can deal with Ancients, Drow lineups. Despite being a lot of physical damage, normally they're not too great at going at Ancients unless your Drow goes like a Helm of the Dominator or something like that. It's going to be difficult
or
to
stack.
Yeah, or fucking Axe. Or
dude, Drow Axe is good. I'm gonna bring this up
later. I know it's good, but people get that shit way too early, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, Drow Axe is fine. Anyway, so you play Tide. I mean, Tide's, it's just super fucking obvious. I don't have to say shit. You fucking know. He's big. He fucking has Ravage. They try to kill your Drow, and then you Ravage, and you're like, all right, everyone stop. Get the fuck away from her. I value her, and I cherish her. Don't kill her. And you Ravage, and she's fine. And then she kills you, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get Tide. He's tanky. He zones. He has Ravage. If you have your offlaner who's 2k MMR below the rest of you, put them on Tide, and that'll work. Yeah, that's that, man. Also, you can do like Slardar or Axe if you have a kind of dual lane. But for the most part, the 2 offlaners you're most interested in, I think, are like Void and Tide. If you have Puck, you can do Timbersaw offlane. But I would be careful running Timbersaw in a Drow lineup. That's not that great. But if you have Puck, it's okay.
Yeah. So I think, I forget if we said this earlier, but both of us would agree that offlane is probably the most, it changes the least when you are playing a Drought lineup. Like you're still picking, a big team fighting offlaner, picking, like you said, Faceless Void, Tide Hunter. We didn't bring this up, but Darkseer is a hero that's been seeing a lot of play recently. What do you think about running Darkseer in a Drought lineup? Like that's totally fine, right? I don't see any problems.
I think it's fine. I mean, he's just a good hero, right? I kind of worry that he doesn't have quite the disable. of, a Void or a Tide Hunter. But if you're running a mid like either Windrunner or Invoker, like especially if you have a QW Invoker, I think all that's fucking fine and dandy or whatever, right? So yeah, I would just be a little careful what your lineup looks like.
Yeah, and on the Invoker front, I would say I would almost never run a Questwex Invoker with it in a Drow lineup.
Yeah.
Like there are maybe very specific situations where I could think it viable, but Quas Exort is notably better than Quaswex right now. And Quas Exort is further better because, like you brought up earlier, Forge Spirits benefit from the thing. Although, yeah, I mean, this is not an Invoker episode, but generally, if you're an Invoker player and you're running a Drow lineup, go Quas Exort. Also, if you're playing Invoker, just go Quas Exort, honestly. Like, Quaswex is very situational, whereas Quas Exort is always good. Anyway, continue. Let's go down to 4-slot supports since we've gone over offlaners.
All right. So I was talking a little earlier about this, trying to plan the episode, and I kind of view your Drow tri-lane as just kind of like one jouster, right? So you have your Drow, that's the person, you're on the fucking horse, you got a lance, and you got a fucking shield. And then your 4 position is your Lancer. That's the person who's gonna, like the Drow, the jouster doesn't want to ever take the heat. The shield wants to take some of the damage, and the pressure needs to go out through the lance. The jouster themselves, they're not actually doing too much. So Drow is just kind of sitting back, and they want to be fine. In the 4 position, that's your fucking lance. That's the person who goes forward and makes the enemy need to like reposition so that they can't just fucking throw their big fucking lance straight into your fucking face. So you want something, you want like an Elder Titan, an Earth Spirit, a Sand King, someone like that. I think Sand King is the best one to think of right now. So just picture your whole team, and then you see the opening, and then the Sand King is your fucking lance. You pull your fucking arm back, and he starts epicentering, and then you fucking thrust your shit forward, and then Sand King's all up in that shit, and then your team is the fucking horse, and you all fucking charge behind your lance to just open everything up for you. If you still got your shield sitting there, like, all right, if they go on my Drow, I'll fucking swap him out. I'll egg him. I'll Shallow Grave. Fucking whatever. That's what you want it to look like. So you got Sand King's good. Go on, your turn.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a dumb joke. So
okay.
I was just gonna say, every time we play a Drow draft, Proud gets us all together 2 hours before, and we watch A Knight's Tale together. And he refers to himself as Heath Ledger the entire time we play the Drow draft.
Dude, so. I love that movie so much. I was just talking to someone about it. Knight's Tale, it's so comfy. I just want to like bottle up some blankets, be like, I'm gonna watch Knight's Tale. Nothing's bad in the world, and everything's cozy. That's Knight's Tale. Anyway,
now I know what our next Battle Cup team name is.
Right? I'm gonna change my name to William. Anyway, all right. So that's your 4. Sand King's really good. Elder Titan is good, especially. I mean, not only does Elder Titan like his ult is zoning, his stomp is also incredibly zoning. He reduces armor for the rest of your team, but I just want to think about like, so if Elder Titan himself is like near the Drow and the Spirit is out lancing at the enemy team, like it'll sleep people that are, excuse me, please, that are attacking your Drow and the enemies and give your team time to position and all that shit. So Elder Titan is just like really good at the for a Drow lineup. And then Earth Spirit is just like good in general. He can go forward really far and initiate, and he's got 2 kinds of disables and nice AoE team fight damage. So I mean, that's good in general, right? Like you have a Drow, your AoE team fight damage isn't that incredible. There aren't many mids besides like, Invoker who give a lot of team fight damage. Like Windrunner is pretty single target. Puck is more control-y than hyper damagey. So you just want someone in your 4 position that can do some amount of damage for you, and Earth Spirit totally fits that role.
Absolutely. So then in that case, for 5 position, the heroes, as somebody who plays 5 position in our Drow drafts, the heroes we like to think of are either heroes that are, well, they're primarily heroes that have stuns that are going to either give Drow the ability to deal better with her offlaner and just zone it out completely, or heroes that have defensive capabilities to deal with the people trying to kill your Drow. So Shadow Demon is probably number 1 on this list. Well, not number 1, but he's up there. Also, just because that hero is very popular right now, he's very strong in general, and also Drow illusions are quite good.
For sure.
But definitely number one, and the hero that I will most likely be playing tonight in our game is Vengeful Spirit. We have been playing this hero a lot recently. The hero is just good in general, especially at TI. We've been seeing a lot of Batrider picks, which means in your pub games, you will. Actually, Batrider is pretty unpopular in pub, so maybe you won't see that many more pub Batriders. But Vengeful Spirit's a very good hero, and we won't drone on about that because we've played it so recently. But she is like the perfect hero to accent a Drow Ranger, right? You
Yeah,
bring
honestly.
to the table. You bring minus armor to the table to run people down. But the biggest one is her ult. If your Drow's getting gone on, again, what we talked about earlier, the way that you kill a Drow is you get close to her, her ult turns off, and then you kill her. But if you have a Venge behind the fight, swapping your Drow away, and then on top of that, Drow can Hurricane Pike, and like everything is good. It has a lot of synergy between the two, basically. Also, the plus damage aura is nice.
Yeah, double aura, really good. Drow, her ult gives her a shit ton of agi. Venge buffs your base damage or whatever. So obviously, Drow Venge, shit ton of damage, really strong. Swapping Drow out, incredible. The stun's nice, minus armor aura for your whole team, also doing more damage. Like it's just good. It's really no question why Venge is so good. But in general, your swap is going to be used defensively to get the Drow the fuck out of there, rather than to swap someone into the Drow. So play like that. Use it, sit behind the fight. You can throw your fucking whatever wave of terror from obscenely far away. You want to be giving damage to your team, so you can be sitting in the back and still keep them in range of your aura. You can swap Drow out, and then if you die in response, like swap Drow out, deliver a stun from point blank, throw your fucking wave if you haven't already, and then if you die, then the enemy carry who is trying to kill Drow now does less damage. Like they're probably going to play, I don't know, something like a PA or a Slark or Sven or something, and they're going to try to jump and blink on the Drow. You swap them out, and then they have to kill you in response. Now you got a Slark with fucking, like 30% less damage. So it's all good. Venge, fucking crazy good.
Yeah. So, and then the other alternative Venge, and again, we talked about this before the episode, but Venge Drow is a perfectly acceptable first phase it's a very strong first phase draft in a captain's mode game. So if you are, again, on an amateur team or whatever, and you're trying to think like, all right, let's make a Drow draft, that's like the most basic first two you can possibly pick. Like it's strong and it has a lot going for it. So if you, again, that's something to think of when you're running a serious Drow draft. Just first two Venge Drow, and because if you pick one or the other in the first phase and not the other one, there is a decent chance they will get banned in the second phase. So,
and if you are first pick, like if you're second pick, you can just pick them both back to back. But if you're first pick, you want to pick the Venge first. If they're like, oh man, obviously they're going for Drow, then the only way for them to counter that is for them to pick Drow themselves, and you already have Venge, and they weren't planning on Drow in the first place, so. Pick Venge first. Yeah. If they counter pick the Drow, you're fine. They're doing something they didn't want to do, but they probably won't, so you'll get Venge Drow. If you pick Drow first, they'll pick Venge, and you'll be like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah, and some other 5 positions that I like to run with Drow would be Rubik is definitely high on my list, and just coincidentally, I run to pubs a lot where if I pick Rubik, somebody just picks Drow. I don't know why, whatever.
Yeah.
Other 5 slots.
If you did Rubik, I would definitely want Elder Titan to be your 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be solid. Bane is another one I like to have with Drow.
Yeah, I'm not too wild about that one, but it's okay.
It's not like direct, like there's not any huge direct synergy, but I feel like it's 2 heroes that are just decent together. And the BKB piercing disable when you have a core like a Drow that is going to be able to just like run people down, not in a literal sense since they're not moving, since I've ulted them, but I like that synergy. And yeah, I mean 5 again, like I feel like it's not super limited, but the unifying concept between all the 5s that you're picking are you want to have some kind of CC, some kind of save, which can be a save in the form of CC or in the form of like a Shadow Demon Egg or a Venge swap, and you want to be able to zone the enemy offlaner out because you don't want like a Tide Hunter running up on your Drow in the off lane. Yeah. Like that's why like if you're running an aggro tri lane, let's say, you wouldn't pick a Drow safe lane because Drow doesn't match up well as a solo hero against offlaners. She just makes it much easier for your duo lane. Like if you pick a roaming hero, sometimes you'll have issues zoning out an offlaner like a Darkseer or a Tidehunter. But if you're
Timbersaw, if you have like a fucking I don't know, like a
CM.
Yeah, CM trying to zone a Timbersaw. Ain't gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. But when they have Drow Aura and they have an additional 10 damage or 15 damage or even 5 damage, like that stuff makes a big difference. So now you're a safe lane that could not really zone an offlaner, can totally zone an offlaner perfectly fine. So that's something big to think about. And that's why we and also other teams that run Drow lineups, I see frequently you can pick a roaming 4 and have them actually roam like an Elder Titan or an Earth Spirit, or even like a Kunkka, if you have a Kunkka player like myself, and make that work. Whereas in a different situation, if you picked another carry, you might have had to run a defensive tri-lane and had 2 supports sitting in a lane, and your mid laner would have suffered. So any other notes on Drow drafts?
Yeah, I would add a bunch of 5s. So Venge is good. Shadow Demon, obviously. I wouldn't run Shadow Shaman, but like you need someone to save the Drow. Like I don't think you can run like I don't know, like Rubik is okay if you can like lift people and toss them away. But like any hero that isn't Shadow Demon, Wyvern, Oracle, or Dazzle, I just don't think I would run in a Drow lineup.
Yeah, Wyvern and Oracle. Wyvern and Oracle are definitely critical oversights.
Yeah, Wyvern's super fucking good. You can cold embrace the Drow. Even your ulti gives Drow some breathing room. Just being able, like, you press your Wyvern's Q, give her some bonus damage, and then Arctic Burn, you give her the bonus damage, and then she also has insane range. Like, she actually can deliver some physical damage. And then Shadow Demon, obviously, Drow Illusions, we said, really good. Disrupt Drow when she's getting gone on, it's good stuff. And then Dazzle, of course. Weave, very strong for your lineup, giving minus armor wherever, and giving bonus armor to your Drow, and Shallow Grave, save all that shit. So I would say Venge, Shadow Demon, Wyvern, Dazzle. I think Bane is also fine, like you said, and Rubik I think is good if you have your Elder Titan. But I think those would be the kind of heroes that you want to look for. So there's like between 3 and 4 options for each role. I would also shout out to Wyvern, Shadow Demon, and Dazzle as being good if you have an Axe dual lane as your offlane or a Slardar in your offlane. Having a Wyvern or a Dazzle or a Shadow Demon helps actually like make those lanes aggressive, and lets
Yeah, Oracle definitely. I mean, we talked about Oracle earlier in the podcast. Oracle, I want to run that. Like Oracle Drow sounds so good. Just through the nature of like being able to keep this Drow alive for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? All the like Oracle doesn't offer direct control. Like his Q is a what's the exact word? It's a shackle. There's
something
a word
like that. A move speed remover.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually hurt you. You can blink out of it, but it just makes it so you can't walk. That's all it does.
And if you're Ember Spirit, a very funny thing that happened to me, if you're Ember Spirit and you get queued by a Oracle, your ult just won't move. It'll like make the running motion and it'll just sit there for the next 30 seconds.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you're not an Ember Spirit player and people just assume it always travels, but it works off your move speed. So if you have no move speed or slow move speed, you're gonna get killed, and it sucks. So keep that in mind.
Like with like Lone Druid Bear Root or something like that, or CM Frostbite, like your thing will still move, but Oracle's shit is just weird. It just takes away your fucking move speed. So that's like the one thing that won't work for. Anyway.
Yeah, it is bizarre. Okay. Do you have any more thoughts on the actual draft before we move into like Drow itemization?
No, I think we can talk about the general tactics after. I'm looking to start playing soon, so yeah, we'll talk about Drow, general skills and itemization, that sort of thing.
Cool.
Okay, yeah. So Drow, as I said, Dragonlance, that's the shit for the most part. Some people like starting super stat heavy. I like to start with Ring of Protection just because I like to get the Bassi very early. But yeah, just do the Stout Tango. That's kind of every hero I'll play Stout Tango. And then I start Stout Tango.
Ring of Protection Tango?
Yeah, start Stout Tango. Fucking Salve Tango.
Okay.
Ring of Protection.
We don't build
no Stout. No, sorry.
Those do not work on ranged heroes, by the way.
Tango Salve, Rop, Ring of Protection as it's known. Maybe a Mango, depending on how you're feeling. If you're feeling saucy, the extra 1 regen is actually just really nice in general. But yeah, then you want to take that into Boots of Speed, and then Ring of Aquila or Aquila, whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. And then and then treads. You want treads, Ring of Aquila, and then you take it from there. I personally really like Windlace on every hero, and you have slots open as Drow, so I go Windlace. And then I try to take it straight into the Dragonlance. So my first main item is Dragonlance. I have a slot for a Windlace. Raindrops is great on this hero. You don't want to fucking die. Raindrops is great at making squishy heroes not die. But once you've got Treads on strength and your Dragonlance, you're super fucking tanky. And from there you can kind of go wherever. I like Manta Style a lot. And if it looks like a decent game for Drow Ags, after you get the Manta Style, you can start going shit like fucking Ags and Maelstrom and all that bullshit.
Yeah, Ags Maelstrom I'm conflicted because I've played games of it and it feels like so dominating when it works. And I've also played games where it's like, oh, I'm hitting one person. This is a waste of 7,000 gold. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hit or miss. Like, just because somebody made that Reddit thread and they were like, "Look at this damage output," that is not going to work in every game. So,
if it's a good game for it, like you're against a PL and all that shit, it's okay. Yeah. For the most part, I stay away from it. Honestly, I know there's like some people who are being on new meta with it and making it really work for them. Just in general, and like these aren't just random fucking shitheads on whatever forum. Like there's actual like very strong Drow players. Who have way higher MMR than I, but there is some value to the Drow Ag. So if you know the fucking secret, go for it. But for the most part, I can't really endorse you. But yeah, so you want the Dragonlance. I think you want Manta for the most part. But just getting a defensive item like BKB is good. Upgrading your Dragonlance to Hurricane Pike is super good. Force Staff is just a fucking great item. Like Liquid back from TI3, before TI3, they would run Force Staff Skeleton King. That shit was fucking awesome. Like I played that. I played a lot of Force Staff Skeleton King after I saw they did it. And like, man, it was fun as shit.
Force Staff's awesome.
Dude, Force Staff is like my favorite item in the game. No shit. Like fucking incredible. Anyway, Hurricane Pike, so much fucking fun. Yeah, so you want like BKB. You can go Shadowblade if you're at a low MMR and it'll save your ass. Or if you're Era in this game that they lost. If
you are planning on losing games, please go Shadowblade.
Yeah, Shadowblade's fine. Like, I don't know. People say like, oh, why buy an item? It can get countered by 180 gold of detection. Like, fuck you. Shadowblade's awesome. It's just a fucking good item.
And
it's great.
180 gold of a slot.
That's and a slot, and they can only do it after they know where you are. And like, there's plenty of you can sneak up on people, you can escape. Their cores aren't going to have dust anyway. Fucking awesome. Like if Phantom Assassin blinks on you, she probably don't got dust at 30 minutes. I'm gonna tell you that little secret right now. Helm of the Dominator is okay if you're looking at a really farmy game, but just make sure you buy Windlace. I really feel very strongly about getting Windlace on this hero. Like, do that.
Yeah, I like having Windlace on anybody that slows because you kind of double down on the differential between move speeds, right? You're slowing them, you're also moving faster. It's a nice little bit of synergy.
Yeah, your positioning's so important.
Skill build wise, because that sounds. I mean, the item build seems pretty done unless you have anything else to add.
No, that's it. Butterfly's good. Crit is really fucking good on this hero. It doesn't give you agi, but I mean, this hero already hits hard. You get a hero that hits hard, has good attack speed. She's got 80 fucking bonus agi. Put a Daedalus on that.
Yeah.
You're fucking
and you're building all other stat items, so you're getting even more out of the Daedalus. It's not like a hero that's building like a bunch of like AC and a bunch of other attack speed things. You're getting direct.
So just focus on your stats. Get Manta, get Treads. Get fucking Hurricane Pike, get BKB, and then Butterfly or a Daedalus. You can even go Scotty if you're that fucking saucy. Do an attack without Frost Arrows, then do an attack with Frost Arrows. If you really want to farm, get Helm of the Dom. That's it.
Yep. All right. Man, now I feel like I'm going to be wrong, but I didn't. Is she one of the heroes that they patched that orb of Frost Arrows are non-orb effect anymore?
I don't think so. Nope. Yeah, it is a unique attack modifier and does not stack with other unique attack modifiers.
So it's like one of the three now.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right. Anyway, let's talk about these skill builds.
Yep. So you get Precision Aura at level 1 always. Then I personally like having 2 points in Frost Arrows by 3. Some people disagree. But at least I'm just looking at Era. Well, what I always do is I go 1 Precision Aura, 2 Frost Arrows, then Gust, and then for the most part, I'll just max Precision from there. Frost Arrows has been buffed to really scaling very well. It used to just be kind of like 1 point and then you're fine, and then you just fucking like just jam on getting your stats up and aura. But now that Drow is just a lot stronger as a hero in general, and Dragonlance is so strong, I think you're fine to put 3 in Frost Arrows by level 7. And then after that, you max out your Precision Aura. So you can either do 2 in Precision Aura and then get your Frost Arrows up to level 3, or you can do fucking 3 in Frost Arrows real quick and then do your Precision Aura, really however you want. But I don't think this is a hero that you just max stats on anymore.
Yeah.
Get all your skills, focus on Frost Arrows and Precision Aura at the start. Once you have your ulti is when Precision Aura actually starts helping a lot. So I don't think it makes too much sense to be like jamming hella points in Precision Aura, bringing it from like 20% bonus to 26 when that only gives your whole team 1 more damage. I don't think it's worth moving your Frost Arrows from like a 16% slow to a 32 to a 48. Mm-hmm. So focus on Frost Arrows early. Make sure you get the point in Gust. And then get Precision Aura afterwards. Don't be too crazy about getting stats.
Yep. And you have a nice power peak at 6. If you are in a situation where the offlaner is not completely zoned, that's a great time to kill the offlaner. Is like you hit 6, you say, all right, support, go and do things, and you surprise and you just kill them because suddenly you're doing 40 more damage, and you're attacking faster. It makes a big difference. Also, an important little nuance, some might say obvious nuance, is that you get armor from your ult on Drow Ranger because you're getting additional agility, right?
Right.
And like everybody kind of knows that agility translates into armor, but frequently people think Drow aura gives damage. And even though they know the damage is coming from agility, it's one of those things where I know I didn't think about it until somebody mentioned it. And they were like, oh, if you're getting 40 agi, that's like 6, almost 7 armor.
That was me, actually, by the way.
I know, you said that. Yes, I was being facetious. But yeah, so think about that, kind of listener. It makes a big deal. Yep. It makes a big difference, rather.
All right, is that it?
I think that's it.
Everyone's like getting mad and wants to play now.
That's fine. They can get mad. That's like their job. All right, so we are going to hop into our game. Again, this will be a full team game with Hakuna Marana, and we will be hopping into this, and you can watch it on twitch.tv/.ptv is where we stream. That is not where you can watch this game. You watch it on youtube.com/.ptv1. That's a numerical 1. And we're going to have an intermission, and then we will be right back with the result of our game. Hopefully a good result. All right, everyone, we are back, and we have finished our game recently, and I guess I'll just announce the teams. All right, I suppose we could talk about, we won't be facetious this time. We won. It was a good game. It was successful. Obviously, we have the advantage of being that we played with our actual team. So pub games tend to be semi-easy when you come in with a plan, and it was all pick, so it is what it is. Anyway, the team comps, I guess, just to start off, we had an offlane Faceless Void, like we discussed in the beginning of the podcast, and we had a mid lane Invoker, again, like we discussed earlier. And in our safe lane, we had a tri-lane of Drow, Vengeful Spirit, and Elder Titan. And the opposing team had a off-lane duo lane, excuse me, that we faced off against. That was Pudge Bounty Hunter. In safe lane, they played Spectre Skywrath, and in the mid lane, they had a Dragon Knight. So just by that, you can tell, we kind of definitely won out on the whole draft part. That's for sure.
I would say their offlane wasn't that good, although it was nice because you guys left me every so often, and then the Pudge would just TP to tower, and then there's no way I could run away from a tower faster than he can TP in and hook. Especially if there's a bounty hunter on me. But overall, I'd say our draft was better. Spectre is pretty good if we don't end the game early because he just haunts and then presses D next to me, and I'd fucking have a Spectre on me, which is sad. But overall, I think our draft was definitely better.
The Spectre presented some interesting issues that I think we handled really well, and this game, definitely, if you're interested in shot calling and that kind of stuff, I would highly advise watching this game because I think Proud's shot calling was really stellar, and we had
if you didn't say anything, I was gonna be legit best shot calling of my fucking life.
Yeah, it was very purposeful. That's the word I would use, because basically the way we took apart this game was once we came online with our base level items once our off lane Faceless had Vlad's, and our mid lane Invoker had like Yule's Blink, and Proud had Dragon Lance, and like, well, pretty much just Dragon Lance Aki Treads, then we just walk down lanes and we would take tier 1s, put pressure, and then we'd move to a tier 2. If they haunted, we would all just group up as one and move back. And if he haunted in, we would kill him. And if he didn't haunt in, then he wasted haunt, and then we can push again because everything's safe. And Spectre has the special advantage, I feel like, in a lot of drafts, and especially in like solo queue games where we don't have a shot caller. That haunt is just like, it's like somebody's ringing a bell, or like there's an emergency siren going off and everybody's just scattering in other directions. So
the house is burning down and everyone's running into each other and fucking
exactly.
Walls are falling down everywhere. Yep.
Yeah. So that was one of the most significant things in this game for me, at least. And also like when we said our team comes better, but I think we had some nice team play. We had a few like mismanaged things, as things are prone to happen. Where we would have
when you're going to swap someone. If you're playing Venge, you got to just say that shit, because like someone's playing, they're like looking over the guy they're killing, not their own character. They're like, man, why did my projectiles stop? A lot of people don't really notice when shit happens to them that they didn't expect.
Yeah, it's a lot of like I feel like any hero where you have those like short periods of time where spells are going to be really good, like a Faceless Void, for instance, which is a little more obvious, of course, but Faceless Void has very specific periods, or like a Magnus, they have very specific like split seconds where like they're going to go do their thing. And it's very important to communicate that, but at the same time, for the player doing it, with any of these split second abilities, like a low level swap where they range only like 500, like that player just has to play on impulse. And like,
I'm not saying don't impulsively swap. I'm just saying scream while you do it.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's something that comes with just playing as a team. So that's a very common problem in team comps. And I don't play Elder Titan that much. I've played a few games just to like learn how the hero works in this new patch, because he's such a popular hero, and like the best way to learn how to beat a hero is to play as it. And so I mismanaged a few things because the range on his abilities I was a little finicky with. I was mostly just happy that I didn't have to play Venge, because I have to play that hero all the time. But yeah, I mean, I think it mostly just comes down to comp, right? What we talked about for the entire first portion was Drow strats are very specific in composition, and there's some wiggle room, right? We talked about the offlaner wiggle room and the support wiggle room, but overall, when you get a draft that is like an ideal Venge draft, an ideal Drow draft like this one, the game, as long as you stay orderly and have communication, the game pretty much plays itself, right? Like we just played, and we had a very like it was like almost like mathematical like execution. Like we just picked apart their base, take a tier 1, take a tier 1, take a tier 1, go back, take a tier 2, take a tier 2, Roche, take the other tier 2, threaten high ground. Oh, they haunted, run away. Oh, threaten high ground. Yeah. Like it was very methodical.
Yeah, I would definitely say that you need to play a Drow lineup as methodically as possible. And shot calling wise, like I wasn't entirely sure how the early game should go. We've played it a couple times and made the same mistake, but I think what really needs to happen is your two supports that are with you in your safe lane. It's really easy to bully the offlaner out. That wasn't too tough for us, even though Bounty Hunter was stealth and Pudge was just sitting behind towers trying to find like a hook opportunity. So like, it wasn't too hard to fuck them up. But we should have taken that into trying really, really fucking hard to take the tower, instead of just like, all right, we got him, let's leave.
Yeah.
Taking the tower would have been super important. And then we do that into rotating. Like we can start 5-manning, at like 9 minutes or whatever if we really want to. But yeah, it's really important to take the safe lane tower, not just like kill the offlaner twice, because unlike a carry like Juggernaut or Sven or whatever, just because they have an advantage on the offlaner doesn't mean that they can beat out the offlaner. Because I was like 3 levels ahead of Pudge, but if he hooked me and Bounty was on me, there was not a lot I could say to him.
Yeah, that's something that interests me a lot, and you definitely have a lot more insight on this since you're a carry player and I'm not. I always have an issue when I'm like free farming a safe lane, or with a carry who's free farming a safe lane, deciding when to take the tower, right? Because and I feel like this is not the metagame as much now as it used to be, but it used to be like you just keep your equilibrium and like you'd push a bit, then you'd like side pull to get max efficiency and get hard camps and stuff. But you didn't really want to take the tower because then you'd be like overly pushing and you couldn't normalize your waves if you messed up a little. Whereas nowadays you kind of have to make that decision. Like in one of the TI games earlier today, Escape Gaming Era, their carry, who's one of my favorite players, he was playing Morphling, and they took their safe lane or the off lane Dire tier 1 tower while they were playing from Radiant at like 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Like they just like barreled down the tower, and then I was just trying to decide, like, obviously, you know, he didn't do that by accident. It was a very deliberate pushing mechanic.
I think that's changed a lot, because back in the day, you didn't have a camp to pull from for Radiant, and doing so was like less common because you only had one half the time. But now I think you can really take the tower almost whenever, and then just make sure that if you lose equilibrium at all, just like pull your hard camp, and it's really easy to get the equilibrium back.
Yeah, it is remarkably simple, and I think this also kind of comes to the progression of everybody, just like as a Dota community, everybody's gradually getting better, and now it's like a pretty normal thing for like carry players to realize, like, oh hey, my supports aren't in lane to pull, so it's 20 seconds. I'm gonna walk over the hard camp and pull at 23, stuff like that. I think, you know, that's a larger societal thing, right? If you go back like even a few years, people didn't pull. People were like, why would I do that? That is stupid. Especially like if you go all the way back to Dota 1. So it's kind of fascinating how people have gradually, like, you know, the 2K of today is vastly better than the 2K of 2 years ago, which is vastly better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something I have to learn and perfect, because I've had lanes where I do it well and like it's really noticeable, and then I've also had lanes where like I was playing a jug game, which was disgusting the other day, and like I just like I did fine. I had near perfect CS, but I could have been way more efficient. Anyway, back to this game. So that was clearly something that went wrong, right? We had a few periods of time where we left you alone because we were fighting in top lane and mid lane and all that. But you did, obviously, you know, Drow is not a hero with an escape. So you would get hooked by Pudge, scouted out by Bounty, what have you, and die. Like there's really no recourse, right? You don't have a blink. Gust is only so effective. Do we have any problems other than that, though? I feel like that was the one like problem, and that really like that was like you died like once.
When we tried to high ground and it wasn't super disciplined, like when I had Aegis and we used we swapped in the Spectre instead of saving it specifically to use defensively. Like anytime we tried to rush anything at all and it wasn't very, very well coordinated, I think that was really when we made mistakes. Yeah. So the only thing I would say about this, well, not the only thing, you know, I got a lot to say, but anyway, the main takeaway that I would say is if you're running a Drow lineup, you need coordination. I don't think I would ever run this not with someone else in the party, right? Like you're even two stacking a Drow lineup, like even if you just so happen to have these heroes and you're not playing like a good group together, I don't think I would really recommend going for Drow. It's one of the reasons that I like shot called as heavily as I did was because when like even though we had all the advantages in the world and we high ground and I had a fucking Aegis and shit, it still didn't fucking work. But when it was like, all right, I'm gonna sit here. I was like specifically telling Invoker to put his Forward Spirits in a way that made me hard to hook. And then I sat on like one side and I pinged Faceless Void needs to stand on this other side. And then I'll hit the tower from here. And then as soon as they haunt, everyone runs back and we like force staff someone and shit and we get the fuck out. And then after we wait for that, then we like go back up. We get another set of Forward Spirits. And then when they run out, I use my Manta to block for me. Like we did some very specific things. And even then it was still like kind of difficult, which isn't like, oh man, this thing's so fucking bad. You can't do it unless you're disciplined. Like we were disciplined and there was no way for them to stop us when we were disciplined. But when we were just kind of like, oh, let's just walk on the fucking stairs and then fucking beat our dicks against this goddamn tower. Like that didn't work. We died and it sucked. So like this comp scales so much. Like not only do you need to pick the correct heroes, but you need to play it like very fucking rote. You got to do that shit purposefully, as you said. So if you have clear intentions, if you know what you're doing, this thing is fucking incredible. If you're just dicking around and you get fucking slapped around in the mud, I don't know, man. Slackjaw piece of shit. Careful.
Yeah, it definitely. Just to reflect on this game, like we as a team, we play together pretty regularly, so this is not so much of an issue. But I can very easily imagine like if you playing this in like a casual 5-stack and just devolving into like flaming and being like, man, why did you do that? Why, like, you know, yada yada yada. Because it's such a, like you said, it's such a like tense, very deliberate situation where like, all right, we need to do this right now, and if we don't do this right now, we're gonna lose. And I've definitely run. This kind of applies to any push strat or any very like specific strategy where when one thing goes wrong, a lot of things go wrong, right? So like you were pointing out in some of these high ground attempts, like one little thing would go awry. Like, you know, one person would get hooked, or like, oh, you know, I would miss my stomp, which happened frequently because again, I am definitely not an Elder Titan player. I didn't play poorly, but I definitely messed up a few things that I should not have, that any veteran Elder Titan player would not have missed. But exactly, I mean, like I said, whenever one thing would go wrong, you know, when it rains, it pours, basically. So this is a strategy it's a lot of fun when you execute it well. And I would definitely advise, like, if you were on an amateur team, like, try one of these things out. And especially if you have, like, it's almost like a shot caller training, I would almost say.
Yeah,
like, it was very productive, I feel.
I would say, like, I don't know, it just feels like as close as Dota's ever gotten to having like a fucking phalanx. Like, if anything goes, if one piece of the puzzle isn't there, yeah, like it shit'll fall apart.
Yeah, it can go full Battle of Knie. All right. Any other cons in the game? I'm really trying to think. Like, the game went pretty, like, you know, as expected, with, you know, a couple hiccups here and there, but it was very deliberate. We had great Roche taking potential. That was kind of the key. And I think that this differs from some other push strats where certain push strats are not terribly good at taking Roche. Whereas if you have like a Venge Elder Titan Drow a lineup, the Elder Titan's not really relevant because his aura doesn't work on Roche, right?
Yeah.
But even just like Venge with a medallion and Drow Ranger and like Vlad's from a Faceless Void, like, we took Roche so fast. And then
and I just pressed E, and the Forge Spirits also were doing like absurd damage. It was great.
And there's more minus armor from the Forge Spirits. This lineup has
does
like,
do Forge Spirits minus armor work on Roche? I thought it was just heroes.
I'm not sure, honestly.
I don't think it works on Roche, but I could be wrong.
I can't. I'm not sure. I'm looking it up as we speak. But regardless of any minus armor on Roche, it was very effective. And it melts the armor of enemy heroes.
Roche isn't a hero.
It is not a hero. Anyway, but that's also only in the wording of the spell. I assume you're right. That's fine. Anyway, we still had a lot of minus armor, and it's still a lot of damage. But so having our Roche timings were very important. And again, that kind of falls back to communication and shot calling, where it was like, all right, we would have an opportunity. For instance, when we were pushing mid lane, I very clearly remember, hopefully, as I say this, I'm not wrong, as proved by the VOD. When we were pushing mid, we had to make a decision. They had like between 10 and 20 seconds on their timers to res because we had killed like 3 people. And it was either let's push mid or let's push Roche. I think we had actually just finished off tier 2 top.
We got, so we were deciding either to go to tier 1 mid or to Roche.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's different.
People
I thought it was
getting uppity. People were saying we should Roche, and I was like, no, we shouldn't.
Yeah. It's always dangerous to Roche whenever there are tier 2s up. That's always like just a good general rule of thumb, especially if you're Radiant. Like, Radiant Roshing is very stressful.
Yeah.
Although ET is quite good at it. But Inspector tried to hold in.
Like, my reason wasn't even that they could Roche or that they could stop us from Roshing. It's just that if we get the tier 2, Roche opens up way more for like doing stuff further. And then if we get Roche but they have the tier 2, I don't know. I just prefer to get all the tier 2s down and then take Roche at your leisure, right? Like, that's the safer thing to do.
Especially when the opposing team sucks at doing Roche. That is like a very important distinction. And this kind of falls back, I believe we talked about it last week, but identifying the strengths and weaknesses within each draft. So, for instance, our draft, we had the weakness of if you split us up and got us to play erratically, then it would have been very easy for the enemy team to stall. Spec would have had extra items because she had great timing. Like, she had a 17-minute radiance. Granted, she only had phase Radiance PMS, but still, like, that's a pretty strong Radiance timing. So if they had very clear win conditions against us, and our win conditions were obviously very clear, as we've discussed for the last hour or however long this has been. So our team could assess, like, all right, their Roche potential is awful. Like, they have Dragon Knight, he's garbage at Roche. Spectre, garbage at Roche. They had like a Solar Crest on a Bounty Hunter, but they, that wasn't even relevant or up until like the second Roche. At least they had Pudge, who's like, he controls Roche Pit fine, but he can't actually take the thing. And they had a Skywrath. Like, Skywrath does literally nothing. So
Forge Spirits indeed do not reduce Roshan's armor.
All right. That's good to know. I think I'm about done with comments on this game, honestly. I think it was, to sum it all up, I think it was a good experience. We executed well. There were definitely some like little minor flaws, but it's Dota 2. There's always something to work on. Yeah. And it's definitely good to have it in our arsenal.
Fair listener. If you listen to this and you're like, man, now me and my buddy, we can play Drow, and I'll have my buddy play Ben. That's I don't think I had too many. If you had like a tri-lane, I think that's fine. Like if you had, you're someone playing Drow, someone playing like Venge or Shadow Demon, and someone else playing Sand King or Elder Titan, I think you can go into a pub with that and do okay. If you're more organized than a bunch of shitters in a pub, anyways, you'll do fine. But just make sure you have a ranged mid before you do it. But I think you could do this in a pub just as a tri-lane, or if you have the mid and let's say you have Vengeful Spirit, Drow, a mid, and then someone else playing some kind of support or something. But don't be too. This isn't like playing like Legion Witch Doctor as a dual off lane. Not quite as foolproof as far as it working in a pub and not blowing up in your face horribly before anything gets started. So take it with a grain of salt. Maybe try it as a tri lane. Make sure you have a ranged mid and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think if you're a carry player, like you should know how to play Drow. Even if like you play some pubs and just lose with it, like learning how to play Drow is important, especially nowadays within the current metagame, because the hero is quite strong.
Yeah, just click on Drow, go to demo hero, and practice last hitting, because holy shit, this hero, man.
Yeah, her last hitting is awkward. It's like, you'd think it's easy because of the fast-moving projectiles, but pre-level 6, sometimes it feels like, boy, I'm not doing much damage, am I?
And just her fucking attack, like, she has the longest wind-up of, like, any hero. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you're saying that to the Lena player.
Yeah.
No,
that's fair.
Yeah, too bad that here is not relevant. Anyway,
yeah, for you.
Oh god, it's awful, dude. I like now my mid pool is like drastically lower because I can't play my main girl.
Like, dude, when Druid was bad, like Christ,
yeah,
that was tough. I still played him, but I got to complain a lot.
The real issue is like the nerf to Lena isn't even like a nerf to Lena; it's an indirect nerf. So they can't even buff her like drastically because so for anybody listening, I'll go on like a quick 30-second rant. The whole reason Lena is like completely non-viable, I shouldn't say completely, but pretty much non-viable, especially non-viable in mid,
it's total garbage,
is because of the rain drop. Like the hero is based entirely around having a combo that is going to burst somebody down. But if they have a rain drop and you're like level 5 and like sure maybe you land your LSA, you get like if you play a lot of Lena, like you can land LSA without any help, and you might be doing great, but then they soak up all your damage with stupid freaking raindrops, so you're worthless, and you just cry because you're playing an irrelevant hero. It's a very sad day. I think at TI she will be one of the few heroes that gets left out and not played at all. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I've tried to make her work. It does not. Anyway.
Yeah, she kind of sucks, truthfully.
Yeah, it's terrible. And everybody thought Aether Lens was going to like buffer so much, and it did. And now it doesn't. Anyway, let's hop into plugs because I think we had a nice productive episode today. Plus, we won the game, so I'm happy.
Whatever. Oh, all wait, right. We should talk about Visage, man, because we glossed over that. Visage is like Drow, like that's the thing. But like Visage just sucks now. Like think of Visage can't save Drow, and Visage doesn't provide anything like Sand King or Earth Spirit or Elder Titan.
Yeah. And so, like, she can't save the mid.
Yeah, so like and Visage can't TP in to save your mid. So yeah, Visage Drow in a vacuum. There's a lot of synergy to pressing E and then the birds kill everything. That's certainly true, but Visage just doesn't fulfill the role in the Drow lineup that you really want from your 4-position support. Maybe if you do Visage and then you have like, I don't know, who the fuck could you run? Like Sand King, I guess, still, and then you have like an offlane like Tide, I don't know. It's tough. Visage is just not very good in this. Like it's fine. Like if you want to play Dota 2v2, Visage Drow, go for it. But in an actual fucking game, there's just no place for Visage in this Drow lineup. Not if you need to have a defensive support. You don't run a defensive support plus Visage. Like that's just not good.
Yeah, Visage is hard to work into comps in general recently. We discussed it a little bit in the earlier part, but Visage has some core problems, especially like any really hard to execute hero that is on top of being hard to execute, not that good. Like that's like the worst storm of situations. That's like when Invoker was bad. It was like, all right, I have to put all this like energy and effort into learning how to play this hero.
Yeah, and then maintaining your skill level.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you do all that, and then it's like, oh, okay, the hero isn't good though. Like Visage is that right now. And, who knows, maybe a patch from now, he'll get buffed and our team will win because we have Skrunk, and Skrunk's a really good Visage player, although he's rusty, to be fair. So, that would be my 2 cents as a support player is like, I don't put energy into learning heroes that aren't relevant, especially really hard ones like Visage, or like Earth Spirit. Like if Earth Spirit gets put in the dumpster, like, why would you bother? Like,
yeah.
Anyway. But if you do have a Visage player, like, maybe try it, whatever. But
I started playing Drow like 2 weeks ago. I'm fine on the hero now. It's not like I got terribly punished for not being active on Drow, but I hadn't really played him until fucking she got hugely buffed.
Yep. So anyway, all right.
Yeah,
so
do the plugs.
Yeah, you can watch the YouTube video of us playing with full comms and all that on youtube.com/.ptv1. We stream on twitch.tv/.ptv. We stream not in-houses right now because they're on hiatus. We just finished a season. Thanks to Growdy for all that. That was a good job. We also stream Hakuna Marana team practices. We stream some solo queue between myself and also Roland. And it's just generally a good time. So hang out. Our website is defenseofpatience.com. That's where you can find all our new releases and other things. Amazon banner is there. If you click it, it does not cost you any extra money. It just sends a little tiny fraction to us, and that helps us keep the show running. On Twitter, you can find us. I'm at Ursinity. Proud is at Proud Dota. And the show is at .p_show for anything and everything Defense of the Patients. You can email us at defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. And our Patreon is patreon.com/defenseofthepatients if you would like to support us a little more directly. And last but not least, we have reddit.com/r/defenseofthepatients, another way to interact with the community, etc. We also have a Discord that is up on defenseofthepatients.com if you would like to access that. It is very active actually with TI. Like everybody's hanging out in the general chat and talking about TI games, which has been a lot of fun. And I already said last but not least, but one further thing is iTunes reviews. Those help us out a lot. Proud especially loves to read them. We read them on the Monday show and occasionally on the Thursday show. So if you would like to give us a review, we would greatly appreciate that. That is the best way to help out a podcast for sure. It gives us exposure, etc. And we like to hear your input. If you like our educational content, you hate our educational content, you like, X or Y, let us know and we can make more or make less. It's all up to you.
I really appreciate that one flaming review that we got earlier. But specifically, I'm looking for one flaming either me or Ursinity directly, not a general flamey thing. Like I know what am I, the Muppet or the animal from the Muppets?
What was I? Oh my god, it was a good review. It was funny, but I
don't know. You just tangentialize on stupid shit.
Yeah, but it was also like the most basic surface value nuance or something like that.
Oh yeah. It
was clever. And it was 5 stars. So like I'm a happy boy.
Yeah, as long as it's 5 stars, man, flame the shit out of me and I'll read your shit.
Yeah, I'm all about it. All right. So thanks for listening. Remember everybody.
Oh wait, I was on Toffee's coffee.
Oh yeah.
Coffee Toffees around the pit. So
it was a good episode.
Look up the Toffees episode and you'll see me in all my fucking glory.
Yeah, it was definitely a good episode. It was you, Rainessa, and Prove, and of course Toffees. It was a good time. And also that's where you can see a little bit more of our their post-TI or pre-TI prep. Also, .p is going to be at TI. I'm sure you've heard about this from everywhere, but we're going to be doing live showings at a place that I don't want to give the wrong name, so I'm not going to say anything. It's of course on our Twitter. You can find it, and we're going to be there in general. Hit us up. We'll be having, I think Rowdy made .p swag. We'll have wristbands and buttons or whatever. I don't know. We'll have stuff. It'll be fun.
I think, right?
Yep, that too. That for sure. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. come hang out with us at TI. All the hosts will be there, I think, with the exception. I don't know if Woodshrew is going to make it, but I think all the other Monday show, Tuesday show, Thursday show are going to be there, and a lot of other additional people. So looks like it's going to be fun. Anyway, remember, of course, this has been our theory, and if you lose, well, it's probably your fault.
It's your fucking fault, man. It's your fucking fault! That was like super funny.